Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Alhamdulillah, it's a great pleasure to be able to continue our learning session despite the constraint, shortcomings of PKP enforcement. As a believer, we believe that everything happens for a reason. So let's look at the positive side of it, like gaining or getting new experience of online education on the part of the lecturer as well as the student. So let's go to the core of the issue. That is VCS 408, Spirituality in Art. The overall test and final presentation will be as the same as VCS 405, Theory of Art. Again, we have to remind you that we are in week number 4. The 60% test will happen in week 8. The exact date Friday, the 15th of May, 2020. As in the case of 405, the 16% test for 408 will be based from lecture number 1 till number 5 only. We'll be having the same format, 30% slide test and 30% short essay. For the slide test, 6 slides will be shown, 5 marks each. You have to write the title, the date, the artist if applicable, and the content of the artworks. As for the short essay, if you have 6 questions, write or answer not more than 150 words for every question. That is 5 marks each. Okay? So before the PKP, we have done half of lecture number 5 on Islamic art. To recap, lecture number 2, the aspect of shamanism, the theory of shamanism, and the role of shamanism in primitive society. Study all the example of cave painting, especially the redrawn version by Henry Bree, entitled The Sorcerer. For lecture number 3, the main issue is why symbolism started in Christian art. The same question is why they having catacomb painting. The varieties of symbol of colors, animals, plant, and episode from the Bible are the focus of the Christian spirituality. Lecture number 4 deals with the spirituality of Chinese landscape painting, or what we call shan shui, meaning mountain and water, as opposed to the kare shan shui, the dry mountain and water of the Japanese art, the Japanese rock garden. The contemplation of process of the Zen Buddhism is the heart of the Japanese rock garden. So lecture number 5 is a complete denial of all symbolism, especially the image of human or animal or any living soul. The concept of Tawhid as the foundation of Islamic art must be fully understood to appreciate the beauty of the khat and the arabesque. So for next week, please study lecture note number 6 and number 7, Spirituality in Modern Art, and we finish the lecture with Spirituality in Malay Art. What you're going to do now is to form your groups for the final presentation. It's going to be 6 groups altogether. At least 101 student must be in every group. So I want to see the list of groups and the group name, group members by next week. That is on 21st of May, on Tuesday. Is it okay? So I hope to see the 6 group with the name, the group name, group members, the ID and handphone number. So it's about all. That's all for now. Have a nice week ahead. Stay home, stay safe. Make dua, have faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah ta'ala make it easy for us. May Allah ta'ala bless you. May Allah ta'ala bless us to the right path. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And salam sejahtera. So Alhamdulillah, through the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are here to discuss the introduction to VCS 408, Spirituality in Art. I have to remind you that this video will not discuss each and every slide from the lecture notes. In fact, you have to study, you have to refer to the notes before or while listening to this recording. VCS 405 and 408 have a similar assessment procedure or format. 60% for the individual test and 40% for group presentation. The 60% test is divided into two sections. Number one, slide appreciation test, and number two, open book test. So if you refer to the what you call the scheme of work, and also to the some document that I posted to the WhatsApp, you can see there's topic for open book test. But later on, you be aware of my posting. Will later on explain to you the test procedure and whatnot. And also the group project is going to be 40%. That is 20% for the presentation and 20% for the essay. Please be aware and attentive to my posting and instruction from time to time to the WhatsApp group, because I'll be telling you for the group project you have to form your group, okay? So if there are 40 of you, so you have like 8 groups, okay? For each group we have like 5 members. So you have leftover of one student. He or she can join any one of the 8 groups, okay? So in one group you should have the second semester and first semester student. You should mix around. There's no way you can form a group all 02. No, it should be at least a member of the group should be from 01, okay? So now we come to the outcome or the main objective of VCS 408. The main objective, at the end of this course, students should be able to conduct formal and contextual appreciation of spiritual art, and students should be able to analyze different approaches to spirituality in work of art. I mean, the approach of the Eastern and Western world, they are different in terms of the form and content. So in the notes that I've posted to you, I mean, in the first introduction lecture, you can see so many definitions of spirituality. So we are looking spirituality from the perspective of psychology, theology, medical, and also general definition of it. And looking it from the artist point of view, according to Larry Clifford, spirituality is better thought as a boundaryless dimension of the human mind. Fikiran manusia yang tidak dapat dibataskan. According to Andre Tisma, art is a result of inspiration, and inspiration has a spiritual nature. So art in its base a spiritual activity. So if we look to the Muslim approach to spirituality, I mean in Islamic art, it is very much different from the Christian art, for example. In Islamic art, symbol of God or Prophet in the form of visual are not allowed. But spirituality can be represented through Islamic calligraphy, senihat, and Islamic pattern, arabesque. And for the Christian artists, there were a whole lot of sign, symbol, and even picture of a picture of visual of God and Prophet. Okay. So back in the prehistoric time, dalam prasejarah, it is said that a shaman ataupun tok dukun, the one who makes the picture, okay, a shaman play an important role to. I mean, he used his drawing or painting skill to communicate with the unseen world. This is said to be the main purpose of cave painting. Element of spirituality, but to communicate with the unseen world. In modern times, in the modern world, works of abstract artists like Mondrian, Kandinsky, and Malevich try to manifest the idea of theosophy, falsafah keagamaan, atau falsafah ketuhanan through their paintings. So next week we're gonna focus on prehistoric cave painting and a little bit on Christian art. So I want you to study lecture number 2 and 3 before you listen to my recording, okay? So you try to make sense out of it, okay? So thanks for your attention. If you have any question, inquiry, conclusion, you come back to the notes and you try to make sense of it. But still, if you don't understand, you can communicate with me. please contact me. You can telephone, WhatsApp, you can email, you can video call, and so on. May Allah Ta'ala make it easy for us. May Allah Ta'ala save us and take care. Take care. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye for now. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. First of all, alhamdulillah, we are now in the month of Ramadan, the blessed month, where Allah SWT will reward enormously for our fasting and other amals, including this learning session. For that, salam Ramadan, and be mindful of our duties to keep fasting and studying. So in the last recording, we have mentioned in passing the important points for lecture number 2, 3, 4 and 5. So these include the concept of shamanism for lecture number 2, aspect of Christian symbolism, lecture number 3, concept of Shi in Chinese landscape painting, Shanshui, and the contemplation of the Zen Buddhism in Japanese rock garden. Lastly, we stopped at Islamic art. We've done a little bit on Islamic art. So for today's recording, we are dealing with spirituality in Islamic art. So contribution for Islamic art, it comes globally from the Middle East, from the Mughal Indian Empire, from Persian Empire, from the Turkish or Ottoman Empire or Osmania, and lastly from the Nusantara, the Malay archipelago. The first and foremost, Tawhid is the foundation of Islamic art. So what is Tawhid? We have mentioned the oneness of Allah, keesaan Allah, in Malay you call it, the unshakable faith, based on the kalimah La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. So no visual representation of God or Prophet is allowed. No realistic figurative or living soul to be represented in the painting like the Christian, Hindu and Buddha. Figurative art become less important, but calligraphy and geometric pattern become so important. So the importance of art is the way to document the Quran, or in Malay, cara untuk mencatat kalamullah, the words of Allah. So the kalamullah, the Quran, will tell the Muslim about his creator, about Allah and his creation, what to do and what not to do, and the way of complete way of living. So art is also used to copy a lot of books from other civilization, and also for correspondence, to invite people to Islam. It is important as the main decoration in architecture, in the mosque for example, or domestic object. So khatat, or the person who writes the khat or write the calligraphy, were honored to a certain rank by the rulers. So this khatat, they are the faithful people, orang yang beriman, bertakwa. They wanted to reproduce the sacred words of God, kalamullah, as beautiful as the human can do. It is also for worship and remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So few important styles are shown in the slide, in your notes. For example, the style of Diwani, Khat Khufi, Khat Nasa, Rik'ah, Ta'liq, Tulus, and etc. So if you refer to the slides, you can see the example of Khat application and style on books, domestic object, architecture, and the work of modern art, what you call modern contemporary calligraphy. It doesn't have to be tied to any particular calligraphic style. It's like a contemporary style. So now we came to the arabesque, or the geometric pattern. Arabesque means a complex ornate design, intertwined floral, foliate, or geometric pattern, a combined pattern. For example, the Wazir Khan Mosque in 1634, during the Mughal, in the time of Shah Jahan. Also, we can find example of arcade from Al-Jalfiria in the style of Baroque art. So we can see the geometric pattern at the bend around the Dome of the Rock from the 16th century in Jerusalem, the Quba as-Sakra, Dome of the Rock. So according to case Critchlow, so he mentioned, as the soul of an individual seeks sources and reason for its existence, it is led inward and away from the three-dimensional worlds towards the fewer and more comprehensive ideas and principles. So the Islamic art is moving from the real three-dimensional world to the two-dimensional pattern of the arabesque. Another scholar states that arabesque encourages spiritual contemplation as compared to portrait of living creatures. So if you enter a building, then you see a figure of the living creatures, you can't concentrate. But when you see the geometric pattern, you are calm and you can concentrate on the geometric pattern. So this is also, arabesque has got to do with the sophistication of the science and geometry in the Muslim world, especially in the Arab world. They were very good in science and mathematics and in geometry. So but the arabesque doesn't have to follow the rules of geometry. It's a repetition of pattern. So it's a free creativity, boundaryless, based on mathematical shapes, like the square, triangle and circle and so on. These simple forms were combined, duplicated, interlaced and arranged in intricate combination, becoming one of the most unique distinguishing features of Islamic art. So arabesque concretely symbolize the infinite, uncentralized, sesuatu yang bahasa Malaysia call tidak infinite, yang tidak berkesudahan. So it's uncentralized, tidak berpusat, it's flowing. Arabesque convey Islamic spirituality without figure and iconographical aspect like the Christian art. So according to one of the contemporary artists in UK, Zara Hussain, the use of pattern is part of the way that Islamic art represent nature and object by their spiritual qualities, not their physical and material qualities. In architecture, Lucien Degas mentioned about the 7 architectural principles in Islamic art, Islamic architecture, like the Tawhid, Ihtiram, Ikhlas, Ilm, Iqtisad, Haya and Zikr. So lecture number 5 ended with example of Islamic architecture all over the world, such as in Cordoba, Spain, in Turkey, the Blue Mosque, in Jerusalem, Dome of the Rock. So a contemporary artist from UK, Zara Hussain, is a good example, a living example of exploration of the Islamic art, and also in terms of geometric pattern. So as for lecture number 6, when we move to lecture number 6, spirituality in modern art, we will discuss in detail in the next video recording. So, discussion will be on Western art and its aspect of spirituality, especially on the work of Kandinsky, Mondrian and Kazimir Malevich. They were under the influence of theosophy, or philosophy of what we call spirituality, which was founded by Helena Blavatsky. So this modern painting by the above artists were very abstract but loaded with spiritual overtones. Detailed discussion for next week, inshallah. So I'm so happy that you have formed your groups. We need to name your group anyway. I'll brief you on detail about the group presentation, inshallah. So we'll discuss about that next week in the next slide. So salam Ramadan, and please try to enjoy your distance learning session. If you have any inquiry or technical or other academic related problem, please let me know. It's just a WhatsApp away. So stay safe, stay home, keep in touch. May Allah Ta'ala make it easy for us always. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. Alhamdulillah, we are moving into the second week of Ramadan 1441 Hijrah. So our prayers and dua that may Allah Ta'ala accept all our amals and make us the true believers. So this is the last video recording for ETH 408. Always keep in mind that you have to always listen again and again all the recording from recording number 1 to number 3, and study all the lecture notes from lecture 1 to lecture 7. And while listening to the recording, always make a cross reference with your lecture notes. So I think I've reminded you earlier, your individual 60% individual test will be on the 15th of May for VCS 408, and the 13th of May for VCS 405, inshallah. So for next week posting, I'll post 10 slides of artwork, out of which 6 will come out for the test. As for the 30%, the essay question, so the question goes like, with reference to 3 artworks of your choice, explain the spiritual characteristic of the following, or one of the followings. You just answer one, okay? Either shamanism in primitive art, or significance in Christian sign and symbol, the concept of Shi in Chinese landscape painting, Zen Buddhism meditation in Japanese rock garden, the spiritual significance of arabesque, and or spiritual significance in Muslim in calligraphy, Islamic calligraphy, Khan. So now back to our lecture. We are into lecture number 6 and number 7. Lecture number 6 is on spirituality in modern art, the art of Kandinsky, Mondrian and Malevich. So please refer to your notes. If you refer to your notes, the timeline for modern art is clear. It's the beginning of 20th century till 1950s or 1970s, where avant-garde and post-modernism came into existence. Also mentioned in the notes about the characteristic of modern art, and also again the definition of spirituality. Theosophy or philosophy of knowledge of God through spiritual ecstasy, intuition and special individual relationship has influenced many modern artists, especially Kandinsky, Mondrian and Malevich. Through theosophy, the artists believed that they were able to see beyond and into the natural world, together with ancient wisdom of cosmic principle on existence. So the beginning of 20th century was also an era where people were discussing about the fourth dimension. So the element of fourth dimension, for example, the non-Euclidean geometry, the concept of infinity, endless illogicality, reversal of reality and unreality, the illusion of time and motion, and the element of monism, or the unity of all things. So these artists, Kandinsky, Mondrian and Malevich, try to make abstract painting which represent the spiritual values. So concerning the spiritual values in art was the title of a book written by Kandinsky and published in 1912. It became some sort of manual for abstract and spiritual art. So if you refer to the notes in lecture number 7 under the subtitle Kandinsky on spiritual art, there are 4 slides detailing his spiritual concept. So as a musician, he once said that this life is full of fears, doubts, hope and joys. So the message of a competent artist is to harmonize all this. He regards spiritual artists as valuable helper in the building of the spiritual pyramid, which someday will reach the heaven. So most of Kandinsky's early abstract painting are titled as composition series and improvisation series, such as composition number 2, 1910, and composition number 4, 1911. So more complex and trying to fulfill the fourth dimensional idea can be seen through Kandinsky's later work like composition number 8, 1923, Circle in a Circle, and 1923. As time goes on in 1930s, works are more complex and at times very schematic. So in Holland at the same time, Piet Mondrian, another artist named Piet Mondrian, founded the style. A movement using grid and perpendicular lines and only 3 primary colors, red, blue and yellow, to manifest his idea of Neoplatonism. Mondrian was born in 1972 and worked in Paris, London and finally in New York. His central idea of is to represent nature to their basic vertical and horizontal element, which represented the 2 essential opposing forces, the positive and negative, the dynamic and static, the masculine and the feminine. For a complete explanation of his spiritual argument, please refer to your notes. Example of his painting includes composition with red, yellow, and blue, 1929, and the much later work painted in America is called Broadway Boogie Woogie, 1942 to 48. In Russia, the artist Kazimir Malevich, born 1878 and died 1935, promoted the spirituality in abstract painting through a concept called suprematism. Suprematism is a term derived from supremus, meaning superior or perfected. Malevich intends to liberate painting from the shackles of mimesis and representation, to raise it to a higher state and into greater spatial freedom. His important, innovative, pure and concrete abstract art are, for example, the Black Square, 1915, which represents the pool of new potential, new potentialities. Then the Red Square, 1915, a signal for revolution, and the white white on white, 1917 to 1918, as a symbol of pure movement. So much more explanation and example of work, please refer to your notes. As we move to lecture number 8, spirituality in Malay art. So it starts with a broad and specific definition of Malay. The specific definition refers to the Malay in Malaysia, and the broad definition of Malay points out to the Malay of the Malay archipelago and Malay world, which include 13,000 islands in Indonesia and 7,000 islands in Philippines. So in the notes, it also traces the early Malay kingdom in Malay Peninsula and in Sumatra, like in Ganga Negara, Langkasuka, in Melaka, Samudra Pasai, Sriwijaya, and Jambi. So the worldview of the Malay became a Tawhidic Walton-Shaw, worldview of Tawhid, based on Tawhid after the shift from Hindu Buddhism to Islam in 13th century. The Malay aesthetic proposed by Syed Ahmad Jamal is the Rupa dan Jiwa, or it's called the form and soul, or the form and content. Artist Rahman relates the philosophy of Malay wood carving to the worldview of the Malay Muslim, to the saying, to the traditional saying regarding the Kerawang or the Malay wood carving, tumbuh berpunca, punca penuh rahsia, tumbuh tidak menunjuk lawan, memanjat tidak memaut kawan, tetapi melengkap penuh masa. Written in 1983. So Malay wood carving is best represented by the Malay spiritual and philosophy of art. So Zakaria Ali in 1989 defines that the Malay aesthetic comprises of 5 important elements: finesse, usefulness, unity, contrast, and symbolism. So the whole idea of Rupa and Jiwa was not represented only in traditional art object like the craze or the wood carving or coconut grater atau pengukur kelapa, but also later continued in the work of contemporary artists. So as a conclusion, for aesthetic of Malay, for the spiritual and aesthetic philosophy of Malay art, it is a combination of beauty and unity. Beauty in the form and unity in the content or meaning. For full explanation, please refer to your notes. This recording is just to guide you with the important points and area of studying. So I think that's about all. So if you have any inquiry, don't hesitate to contact me. To contact me is just a WhatsApp away. Okay, stay safe, stay home, and have a faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah ta'ala make it easy for us. So bye for now. Take care. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Rahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and salam sejahtera. Alhamdulillah, Allah, by the grace of Him, we are back with VCS 408, Spirituality in Art. I hope you are in the best of health, happy and ready for our learning session today. This is lecture number 2, part 1. Altogether we have 3 recordings for today, part 1, part 2 and part 3. Okay, stay with me. We have discussed the definition of spirituality from the perspective of psychology, medical, and science and art. Okay, So spirituality, or in Malay called kerohanian. In the last video, we have defined spirituality as a boundaryless dimension of the human mind. Akal manusia yang tidak bertepi. That's from the perspective of psychology. In the Oxford Dictionary, spirituality relates to human spirit or soul as opposed to the material things. Iaitu dikaitkan dengan kejiwaan dan juga kerohanian manusia yang bertentangan dengan material kebendaan. Now we are coming to lecture number 2, spirituality in the prehistoric art. As we have discussed in ATH 435, art and design history and theory. Remember? So the prehistoric is the time before the coming of writing. So in prehistoric art, the timeline is like Paleolithic, Mesolithic, and Neolithic. The old, the middle, and the new Stone Age. Okay. So these are the periods of the prehistoric. So even in the lecture of 435, we have discussed prehistoric mean before the coming of writing or documentation. In prehistoric art, as we have discussed, the main form of art is cave painting and fertility goddess or fertility sculpture. But for this class, we are going to discuss the cave painting only. Okay. So cave painting are found throughout Europe, especially in Spain and France. Okay. Not that it's not in other parts of the Europe, but most of the cave painting are located in France and in Spain. Okay? For example, the El Castillo and Altamira in Spain, and Lasso, Pierre, Chauvet, Pont du Gard in France. Humankind came to the cave firstly as a shelter. Because according to the theory, man as a hunter-gatherer, they use the cave as a shelter, pakai rumah kediaman dia. But later on, visited the cave. But after they have came out of the cave, maka they still mereka masih datang ke gua. They still came to the cave as a place that bridge the world and the next world. Tempat di mana dia nak berhubung dunia dan tempat yang misteri, satu alam kegelapan, alam gaib. The cave painting were important as the purpose and the function are diverse. Dia penting kerana kegunaan dia dan fungsinya tu begitu banyak. According to historian, anthropologists and theorists, the art of painting and primitive art believed to be are actually very important to hunting magic, agriculture, memuja semangat tumbuhan, in procreation, dalam pembiakan manusia, dan juga in healing, dalam perubatan. So it's important for in hunting, agriculture, procreation, and healing purposes. The formalistic characteristic or the general characteristic of Paleolithic art or Paleolithic cave painting, as we have discussed even in ATH 435, they are big size hunting animal, element of naturalism. It's not real, but it is so naturalistically drawn or painted. You can recognize it's a horse, it's a bull, it's a bison. Okay. The bold outlines, garisan yang kasar, no depiction of space, everything is like hanging and painted on walls and ceiling. Also the limited colors, the usage of very limited colors, black, ochre, and red. Okay. So the famous Paleolithic painting is the Halls of Bulls, 15,000 to 10,000 BC from Lasso. Depicts a mixed species grouping of deer, bulls, and horses. Also, you have the painting bison at Altamira. So you refer to the notes. A painting shows a group of bison. Sekumpulan seladang. Kadang-kadang seladang ini digambarkan sendirian, kadang-kadang digambarkan berkumpulan. Okay? Well, with naturalistic representation and limited colors. Sama. Gayanya naturalistic dan warnanya tu terhad. Okay? So Henry Bowie, one of the historian, interpreted cave painting as hunting magic. Dia menafsirkan Henry Bowie ni teori dia adalah catatan dinding ni sebagai hunting magic. To increase the number of animal or to bring the animal to the cave, menambahkan tangkapan tu atau membawa binatang ke gua. Others believe that is a way to transmit information. Pencuri lain mengatakan adalah untuk menyampaikan maklumat. So as we have discussed before, David Louis Williams suggests that this painting are the work of shaman, ataupun Tok Bomo, Tok Batin, ataupun witch doctor. They were like the traditional doctors, they were like the traditional artists. He entered into a trance, dia menurun, enter into a trance, paint images to communicate with the unseen world. Dengan kemahiran melukis dia tu, dia waktu dia tengah dia menurun, maka dia melukis. So he painted images from abstracted form or whatever, animal, big size hunting animal, parts of human body and whatsoever. Okay, but it's very rarely, sangat jarang, very rarely we see painting of a human figure. If there is human figure, it's always like a stick man, orang lidi. But when it's come to the animal, it's very naturalistic. Okay. So shaman might also perform sympathetic magic. Mungkin juga dia ni memanggil binatang ke gua juga. Or for other purpose like medically related, berkaitan dengan perubatan, ataupun ritually connected ceremony, berkaitan dengan ritual atau upacara penyembahan. A good example of cave painting to show the role of shaman is the shaft of the dead man. If we refer to the notes, there's a painting called a shaft of dead man from Lasso, 17,000 BC, where a man with the head of a bird, menampak figura manusia, kepala itu macam burung, big head, being killed by a bison, seperti dia telah dibunuh oleh bison. Some historians says that maybe the man might be a shaman. He's performing a ritual. So he's wearing like a mask, topping, berbentuk in the form of a bird. Or maybe he transcends himself to be like a supernatural being. Sama ada dia membayangkan dirinya satu binatang yang supernatural, atau dia melihat something like that, melihat makhluk seperti itu dalam dia punya masa menurun tu. Another good example of shamanism is the painting called the sorcerer. Sorcerer ni bahasa Melayunya tukang sihir. So Henry Bowie made a redrawn version. Henry Bowie ni seorang historian ni, dia lukiskan balik gambar yang dekat dinding gua tu tak begitu terang. So he made a redrawn version. If you look at the notes, you can see the real painting on the left, and there's a redrawn version. Versi yang dilukis semula. The shaman with human body with head of a deer. Badan manusia, kepalanya kepala rusa. The theory of transmitting information can be seen in the painting Dapple Horse of Pierre Mill. Teori yang mengatakan untuk menyampaikan maklumat pula boleh lihat pada satu karya lain. You can see through the work Dapple Horse of Pierre Mill, 25,000 BC, where a handprint, kesan tapak tangan tu, is said by Paul Petit from Sheffield University to be a warning. Do not use this passageway. In the next video, part 2 and part 3, I will explain further on the painting called The Sorcerer and Dapple Horse of Pierre Mill. So stay tuned with me for part 2 and part 3. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. So bye for now. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And salam sejahtera. This is the part 2 of lecture number 2. VCS 408. So we are now discussing the work shown here, which is called The Sorcerer. In Malay, tukang sihir. So 13,000 BC. This is a cave painting from Troy Eric in France. Okay, in one the original painting is on the left. Okay, but it's a bit blur, nampak macam tak berapa terang. While Henry Boy, the scholar who believed that the theory of simulated magic, he made a redrawn version. Dia lukiskan sebelah kanan atas tu his own interpretation of the painting. The redrawn version revealed a man with deer head, half man, half deer, separuh orang, separuh kepala rusa. So Henry Boy believes that this is the shaman. Inilah Tok Batin atau Tok Bomo atau the witch doctor. So according to him, maybe the shaman when in trance, masa dia tengah menurun tu, he saw this supernatural creature. Masa dia menurun tu, dia nampak orang, separuh rusa tu supernatural. Or perhaps he himself imagine, atau dia sendiri membayangkan dirinya jadi manusia yang supernatural tu. Or he himself imagine as one of these transformed creature. So Henry Boy stick to the theory of sympathetic magic. Jadi dia menyatakan tentang teori sympathetic magic, iaitu to create some kind of great spirit, untuk menghasilkan satu spirit ataupun roh yang hebat, dikatakan master of the animal, raja segala binatang, so that the hunting will be the hunting will be successful, and they can hunt a lot of animal, or to actually to bring the animal to the cave, untuk memikat binatang tu datang ke gua. As a conclusion, this artwork confirm the theory, the shaman. Teori yang mengatakan dibuat oleh shaman pun betul, and teori sympathetic magic pun betul juga. So but the two theory, whether it's shaman or sympathetic magic, is something to do with spirituality, dengan kerohanian. So stay with me with another recording. That's part 3 right after this. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So bye for now. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. This is part 3 of lecture number 2. So thank you for still loyal listening to my recording. We are now discussing a cave painting, as shown here, called the Dapple Horse of PML, 35,000 BC. This is a large painting, 13 feet by 5 feet. Groups of spotted horse, dapple. Dapple ni maknanya kuda bertumpuk. Mungkin dia evolve jadi kuda belang lah, but during that time it's like kuda bertumpuk, which shows a group of spotted horses, menggambarkan sekumpulan kuda-kuda bertampuk. As a Paleolithic cave painting, it's a common thing to paint big size hunting animal, like bison, horses, deer, and so on, bulls, and with limited colors, black, red, and ochre. But the most interesting feature of this painting, yang menariknya, it's a negative handprint right on top of the horse body. Ada gambar kesan negatif tapak tangan. Kalau tapak tangan letak warna, ditekapkan tu kesan positif. Ni tangan ditekapkan dan disemburkan warna di atasnya, maka ada kesan negatif. A negative handprint right on top of the horse body. A scholar from Sheffield, Paul Petit, University of Sheffield from UK, proposed that, dia mencadangkan it is a navigational pictogram, gambaran pemandu, yang memberikan informasi tentang sebagai satu tanda, gambar pandu arah, which means do not use this passageway, ataupun bermaksud janganlah guna laluan ini. So it's a pictograph, gambaran yang merupakan membawa information. Okay, the painting confirmed the theory that maybe some of the paintings are meant to transmit information. Jadi ada teori mengatakan setengah-tengah some of the painting adalah cuba menyampaikan maklumat. So mungkin betul. Anyway, the shaman is free to draw whether image of animal, a very hardly human form, abstracted form or handprint or whatsoever, as long as he or she can communicate to the unseen world. So for next lecture, for next week, please read and study lecture number 3, spirituality in Christian art. Okay, so take care, stay safe, observe the PKP SOPs, and I see you next week, inshallah. So you will be listening to next recording next week. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye for now. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And salam sejahtera. This is lecture number 4, VCS 408. We are now discussing the sign and symbol in Christian art. So I hope you have studied the notes and familiarized with the artwork of the early Christian art. As usual, please refer to the notes while listening to my recordings, and not to forget to sign in within the learning hours. So we start off with a definition of sign and symbol. So sign is anything that stands for something else. Sign ni adalah tanda. Tanda ni satu yang mewakili satu yang lain. Sign depends on the context. Dan tanda ni dia bergantung pada konteks. For example, a road sign. Sebagai contohnya, tanda jalan raya. For example, the road sign for 60 km per hour. Contohnya tanda 60 km sejam. The meaning is specifically refer to the context of rule and regulation of transport. Jadi dia merujuk kepada satu konteks yang khusus. 60 tu makna tidak boleh lebih 60, bukan umur 60 ke atas, atau hendaklah 60 saja, atau boleh lebih 60, bukan. Konteksnya adalah tidak boleh melebihi 60. So it has a specific meaning according to the context. Apakah konteksnya? So scientifically, the study of sign is called semiotics. Kajian tentang tanda ni, dari segi visual ke dari segi bahasa ni, kita panggil semiotics. Then we go to symbol. Symbol is like a sign, but it is more complex. Something similar like sign, but most of the time something material representing something which is abstract. Benda-benda yang material yang melambangkan sesuatu yang abstrak. Yang mana it has a complex meaning. Dia ada makna yang literal, yang hurufiah yang kita menampak, and there's a deeper meaning. Makna yang mendalam. Iaitu a symbol has complex meaning, not only the literal meaning but also additional meaning or deeper meaning. In some books is stated as intrinsic meaning. Jadi simbol tu dia ada makna yang harfiah, maksud yang superficial tu di permukaan, dan ada maksud yang mendalam. Misalnya kalau orang Melayu tu simbol pucuk rebung kan, simbol bentuk yang dinamik, tapi dia ada kaitan pula melentur buluh biar daripada rebung. Dan dia ada kaitan pula dengan salah satu tumbuhan yang paling penting di Asia, something like that. So it has so many level of meaning. Now coming to early Christian art, so we must remember that Christian art developed during the Roman Empire. Dan it was like under the persecution of the Roman. Dia mendapat penentangan dan juga pendakwaan. Because the Roman, they were not Christian. They were having the same religion like the Greek. Dia dipanggil paganism. Dia menyembah berhala, iaitu dia percaya kepada banyak Tuhan, dewa-dewi. So when Christian came, so the Roman authority actually will put any Christian into prison, and he'll be punished for for propagating new faith, memperkenalkan ajar baru. Even according to the history, so when Jesus came to preach, he was like being it is said that he was bringing some kind of magic, black magic. So in the beginning, the Christian they were not able to show their face openly. Jadi itu tak berlaku. It happened only after the after 300 AD, 300 years after the birth of Jesus, peace be upon him, lepas lahir Nabi Isa AS. Barulah when one of the Emperor Romawi ni, Emperor Roman, he embraced Christianity, and he later on pronounced that Christian was the official religion of the Roman Empire. Then after that, then only the Christian can openly show their faith and do their Christianity practices. Okay? So in so many books, there will be like two periods of Christian art. The first period is called the persecution era, zaman pertuduhan. That is before the Christianity of the Roman Empire, and also later on Recognition era, recognition, zaman dia diterima, iaitu after 313 AD. So before 300 AD, it was under the persecution era. Dia tidak boleh menunjukkan pegangan Kristian dia. So what happened? So how did they survive? So they made a tunnel, what we call catacomb. So that's why in many books it is very famous. It's called catacomb art, seni catacomb. So this catacomb is like underground structure, like a cave, macam satu lubang bawah tanah. So in this catacomb, they have niches ataupun kita Melayu panggil lahat. So these niches are to put the deceased, orang mati, orang Kristian yang mati. Because the Roman, they did not bury the dead. Kalau kita tengok dalam cerita Greek apa semua, mayat tu letak atas macam timbunan kayu, dia bakar ataupun dia hanyutkan. So what happened? So they put the deceased body ataupun the dead body underground in a burial, but they have the niches ataupun dia buat liang. Kalau Melayu panggil liang lahat. Dia masukkan, then they seal it with some kind of slab. Dia orang batu, and on that slab they engrave some kind of prayers and also all the symbol dan tarikh kematian. Everything is put there. Okay? Apakah kerja orang tu masih hidup, dia lah, kalau dia petukang adalah gambar tukar besi dia. These are all symbol. Because why they cannot openly or directly do the image, or else they'll be prosecuted. So this is called catacomb painting. So catacomb are burial chamber underground where they put the dead body. The underground structure consists of niches. Dia ada lahat, where the deceased body were buried and sealed with the slab stone inscribed with the name and the date and prayer and symbol. Catacomb were also used for prayer and Christian teaching. Jadi dalam catacomb ni, bawah tanah ni, dia juga tempat kadang-kadang dia menyampaikan dia punya ajaran Kristian lah. There were at least 10 catacomb structure in Rome. Di bandar Rome sendiri ada bawah tanah tu ada 10 catacomb. The capital of the Rome was the capital of the Western Roman Empire. Roman Empire was divided into what we call two parts. The Western Roman Empire in Rome and the Eastern Roman Empire in Constantinople, atau sekarang kita panggil Istanbul. The Constantine Emperor, he actually came to Turkey and he took over Istanbul by that time, and he named it Constantinople. But later on in 1453, when the Muslim took it over from the Roman, from the Christian, then they changed the name to Istanbul. Islambul, Islam is great. So please refer to your notes. In this catacomb, the walls were painted with mural, or in art historical term we call it fresco. Fresco, depicting signs, symbol from the Bible. So dekat mural ni, atau dalam istilah art history kita panggil fresco, they have the sign, the symbol and the story from the Bible. But I mean the painting and drawing, they are not real. They are symbolic. They are definitely not real. Dia tidak real. Dia akan jadi real nanti bila datang ke zaman Renaissance. So it will be like so many centuries after that. Everything is so symbolic, because it was under the Christian art. So we will discuss the example of fresco For example, the story of what you call the Good Shepherd. That's a very important symbol for the Christian there. So we will discuss that in video number 2. The art of a catacomb is a symbolic art, in the sense that some concepts which are difficult to express. I mean, the teaching of Christians, some of the concepts is so difficult, so they have to, show it in some kind of symbol. To indicate Christ, untuk menggambarkan Christ, Jesus Christ tu, a fish, gambar ikan digambarkan. A fish is depicted. To symbolize peace of heaven, ketenangan di syurga ataupun di langit. A dove is represented, bunga merpati digambarkan. To express firmness of faith, dia nak gambarkan keteguhan iman. An anchor is drawn, gambar sauh, sauh kapal. The nimbus or halo, a luminous cloud around the heads of saint or angel. Kalau dekat gambar malaikat atau orang-orang angel, malaikat atau orang wali-wali Allah dia tu, dia ada gambar macam bulatan, dipanggil halo ataupun semacam awan. That's a symbol of holiness and beauty. Simbol kesucian dan juga keindahan. So the good shepherd is one of the most important symbol of Christ, being that he is being kind to mankind. So he is actually symbolized as the Lamb of God. For example, lily, bunga lily. Lily is symbol of purity. So we always find lily in what we call during wedding. So this symbol of purity, of virginity, for example. In the second video, I'll discuss the symbol of Jesus as Good Shepherd and also a symbol called orange. Orange, okay? So as a whole, they are symbol for animal, plant, colors in early Christian art that were then used until today even. So in the later period of Christian art, the biblical story, the story from the Bible also being carved on the stone scaphagus. Scaphagus maksudnya coffin, keranda. Digambarkan, for example, kalau if you refer to the note, the scaphagus of Junius Bascus. The scaphagus of Junius Bascus. 359 AD. So stay with me till the end, for the second and third video. So bye from now. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So this is part 2 of lecture number 3. So alhamdulillah, thank you for still with me. So we are now discussing the symbol of the Good Shepherd. Kalau dalam bahasa Melayu kita panggil pengembala yang baik atau pengembala yang mulia. This symbol has been used by the Roman. Sebelum daripada Kristian lagi, orang Roman dah guna simbol ni. It is a depiction of the Roman god. Kan dia believe pada banyak dewa-dewa. The Roman god named Mercury. So Mercury ni dia cakap Tuhan kepada pengembala, the god of the shepherd. So when in the time of the Christian, in order to disguise, they use the same symbol, but the shepherd is representing Jesus. Jadi untuk supaya tidak diketahui, dia gunalah simbol yang orang Roman pakai. Tapi according to the context atau makna dalam Kristian, ia merefer kepada Jesus. Okay. So in order to disguise dia punya meaning, so they use the same symbol but they change it dia punya in the context the Good Shepherd. Okay, so the Good Shepherd actually trying to show the teaching from the Bible according to the Testament from John and so Jesus said, I'm the shepherd. I lay my life to the animal. Okay, so Jesus lay down his life for the sheep. Okay, so the Good Shepherd symbol is usually there will be the shepherd surrounded by all the animals, and so also by the herd ataupun kambing-kambing ke binatang-binatang. So he's like guiding the straying animal. Jadi ataupun simbolnya dia memandu orang yang sesat, ataupun dia seorang penyayang mengasihi setiap binatang-binatang yang lemah lah, something like that. So Jesus is shown surrounded by animal or herds. The fresco shown from this slide, actually, the one shown here is from the Catacomb of Callisto, 4th century AD. And the middle one is from Catacomb of Domitilla, 2nd and 4th century AD. Abad kedua dan abad keempat masih. And the one on the right is Catacomb from Priscilla. So until 500 AD, sampai ke 500 tahun selepas lahirnya Jesus, no direct representation of Jesus. Nobody would paint the image of Jesus. It was made symbolically, either by using sign like a fish or a lamb, something like that, or they're using this the symbol of the Good Shepherd. But later on, they made images of Jesus according to the understanding. For example, in Renaissance art, they'll paint Jesus. Even before that, they paint Jesus, they paint Mary, they paint all the angels and whatsoever. Okay, so that's why in Renaissance, to a certain extent, Jesus was shown like a muscular person. And this was even later on being challenged by the Protestant. So, and Jesus was shown like a very young, muscular person, which is against the teaching of the original teaching of the Christian. So stay with me for the third video. I'll be talking about orange. Orange is depiction of Virgin Mary, but symbolized in the image of a woman. So stay with me for the third video. Okay, bye for now. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So this is lecture number 3, part 3. In this lecture number 3, part 3, we will discuss the symbol called orange. O-R-A-N-T. O-R-A-N-T. Okay, orange. The one shown here is from the Catacomb of Callisto in Rome. Okay. 1st century AD, abad pertama Masih. This is a symbol of Virgin Mary. Usually shown standing with the hand raised to the level of the face. And the palms atau kedua-dua tapak tangan tu turn towards the viewer. Dua tapak tangan tu ke arah penonton, ke arah orang melihat. Okay? So this symbol actually has been used during the Sumerian, and also the pagans. But like the symbol of a Good Shepherd, this symbol is now being used by the Christian as a symbol of Virgin Mary, symbol kepada Maryam. Or in certain book it says a symbol of the Christian faith, ataupun maksudnya pegangan atau kepercayaan gereja tu pada Christianity. Okay? So this symbol is consistently, symbol orange ni begitu famous from the 9th century to 13th century AD, especially in Byzantine, the Eastern Roman Empire, that was in Turkey, Istanbul. Kita pun tahu Constantinople adalah nama daripada Maharaja Kristian Constantine, yang telah mengkristiankan Empire Rome. But later on in 1453, Sultan Muhammad he came and conquered what we call Constantinople and changed the name to Istanbul. Okay, so this symbol actually has been used before, but the Christian used this symbol. There's a image of a woman with the hand raised to the level of the face, macam orang bertakbir lah. So it is a symbol of Virgin Mary in prayer. Dia sedang berdoa, ataupun dia sedang sembahyang lah. So it's also a symbol of the face of the church. So in certain books it represent the cross. Dia symbol cross, iaitu the posture of Jesus on during crucifixion. Bila dikatakan inilah kedudukan Jesus waktu penyaliban. So later on, even during the ceremony in the church, during the sermon, even they use this symbol. It's not symbol as a as in the painting. Even in the church they used to raise the hand. But later on they change change the symbol into the holding of hand. Dia berpegang tangan bila dia berdoa. So especially the Orthodox Christians still using the symbol of orange. But after the 20th century, some of the churches they came back a revival of this orange. But most of the church they will be holding hands. So orange is a symbol of actually Virgin Mary in prayer. Okay, so that's all for today. So for next week, you please study lecture number 5. We are going to study the spirituality in Chinese and Japanese art. Okay, so bye for now. Stay safe. Take care. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye for now. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. This is lecture number 4, part 1. So we have 3 parts altogether. So stay with me till the end, okay? So we are now discussing spirituality in Oriental art, okay? Oriental art meaning Japanese and Chinese art. So as a reminder, as usual, please refer to your hard copy notes, okay? So every time you listen to my recording. So Chinese landscape or shan shui. Shan shui means mountain water. It's a concept in Chinese landscape painting. While in Japanese art, the most important artistic expression is the kare shan shui, or dry mountain water. Tadi shan shui itu gunung dan air. Kare shan shui itulah gunung dan air yang kering, because in Japanese art we'll have the rock garden. So we discuss Chinese landscape first, then we move to Japanese rock garden later on. The Chinese civilization dated back to the Bronze Age, around 2000 BC. So China, like ancient Egypt, had successive period of or dynasty, starting from the Xia or Shang dynasty in 1523 to around 1028 before Christ, and it has not less than 70 to 100 dynasty according to different studies. Banyaklah dynasty dia tu sampai beratus. So Shan Shui is derived from the Tang dynasty. Istilah Shan Shui ni daripada dynasty Tang. After dynasty Tang tu dynasty Shang atau Sung. But most famous landscape painting were product of the Shang dynasty, atau setengah buku tulis Song, S-U-N-G, atau setengah buku S-O-N-G, Shang dynasty. So what were the main philosophy behind Chinese art? So it is said that there were 3 philosophies. The Tao, atau in certain books called Dao, Buddha, and also Confucius. So Tao, established by a person named Lao Tzu, focuses on yin and yang, male and female, night and day. These are the contrasting elements. Also based on harmony in nature. Wu Wei, actionless, and also Shi, cosmic energy. So Buddha main teaching is the spiritual life. Just like a candle cannot burn without fire, so life cannot go on without a spiritual life. Jadi konsep spiritual kena ada. And Confucius' social philosophy is that around the concept of Ren. Ren is compassion and loving others. Another philosophy by the name of Zhong Bing. He's a calligrapher and artist. So he said Shan Shui, or the Chinese landscape, is about spiritual connection between the artist and the essence of universe. That's the real world. Apa itu Shan Shui atau landscape China ialah satu spiritual, hubungan spiritual antara pelukis dengan alam semula jadi. So in the Tang dynasty, landscape became an independent genre. The purpose not to copy exactly the appearance of nature, but to catch the rhythm of nature or to be harmony with nature. Di zaman Tang ni, maka lanskap menjadi satu bentuk seni tersendiri. Bukan untuk meniru, tapi untuk mendapatkan apakah intipati nature tu, untuk berharmoni dengan nature. It is an inner landscape. Lanskap dalaman pelukis tu. The heart and the mind. The inner harmony of man and nature. Satu keharmonian dalaman antara manusia dan juga alam. Another important aspect of Chinese landscape is in painting is Shi. Shi ni tenaga dalaman, atau setengah buku tu Ke. Shi atau Ke, spiritual energy. The breathing space, iaitu ruang untuk bernapas. And emptiness not painted but can be sensed or traced. Sesuatu yang tidak dilukis, kekosongan atau void, tetapi dia boleh dikesan. So good example, a good painting will have good sheer or spiritual energy. So good example of this kind of landscape is by Ma Yuan. So refer to the this will be discussed in second video. His work entitled Scholar by the Waterfall. Another example is the 8 Views of Mount Huang by Zheng Ming, Qing Dynasty, 1649 to 1911. Okay. Now we come to Japanese art. As early as 11,000 BC, the the Jamon period, the earliest period of Japanese art. Then you have the Yayoi period, 300 BC to 300 AD. And lastly, you have the Kofun period, 380 to 450 AD. They don't have dynasty, but they put like all those periods. Okay. The main philosophy of Japanese art is Zen Buddhism. Zen Buddhism is in the form of meditation. So meditation is for the enlightenment, untuk pengisian jiwa. The meditation that, what is the center of meditation is when one realizes one is already enlightened. Bila seorang tu merasa dirinya telah diisi dengan kerohanian, itulah enlightenment. Okay? Zen originated in India. Zen ni bermula di India. Dipanggil Chan. Chan, kemudiannya known also in China, then transmitted to Japan in the 13th century. The samurai class of political power was the practitioner of Zen, prominently 14th to 16th century. Golongan samurai sebagai penguasa politik, mereka ni mengamalkan banyak Zen Buddhism. Zen is defined as simplest possible means the inherent nature of the aesthetic object or the inner nature of aesthetic object. Iaitu macam mana cara yang paling mudah, paling ringkas, simple untuk melihatkan keindahan dalaman sesuatu objek yang cantik tu, dikatakan. So Zen garden, so the aesthetic of the inner nature, the aesthetic object or the inner nature of aesthetic object, iaitu menggambarkan keindahan dalaman objek-objek yang indah tu. So this is shown through the Zen garden, Taman Zen. It's a kare sansui, gunung dan air yang kering, dry landscape, a place for quiet contemplation on rock and gravel, iaitu dia tempat duduk bersunyi diri, bertafakur, contemplation pada batu-batuan dan juga batu kecil yang disusun. Rock, batu besar, dan gravel stone, ataupun batu, orang Melayu cakap batu gravel, tapi dia gravel tu lah batu yang hancur. The rock represent the mountain and the gravel the water. Jadi batu-batu besar tu melambangkan gunung dan batu kecil tu adalah air. The gravel is rigged to form many pattern. Jadi batu-batu kecil tu cakar, mengenai pencakar tu, dan dia akan membentuk pattern. It's called samon. The garden can be indoor and also can be outdoor. Garden tu boleh secara miniature atau dibuat secara kecil di atas meja, ataupun secara besar, or it can be real garden outdoor or part of a temple atau sebahagian daripada kuil. A good example of this rock garden is the Roanji Temple in Kyoto. So I will discuss in the third video. Okay, so stay with me again till the end. There are 6 principles of Zen garden. The first one is Fukinsei. Fukinsei is asymmetrical, atau tidak semukur. Dia tak boleh semukur. Kalau semukur is not Zen. Secondly, Kanso, simplicity, keringkasan, means simple. Yang ketiga, thirdly is Koko. Koko iaitu vulnerability atau respect, iaitu kelihatan seperti satu yang dihormati. Eugen adalah subtlety and mystery. Nampak begitu syahdu dan juga bermisteri. Datsoku, number 5, otherworldliness. Nampak macam satu yang alam yang lain, bukan alam akhirat, maksudnya world of the mind, iaitu dalam satu yang dalam pemikiran kita. Sejanku, stillness. Sejanku, the 6th principle is the Sejanku, stillness. Stillness maksud kesyahaduan. Other consideration by scholar is called Shizen, not pretentious, iaitu tak macam dibuat-buat. Odd number, nombor yang ganjil. triangular formation, iaitu formatnya mestilah berkesegitigaan. Ma ataupun space, ada ruang untuk bernafas, breathing space. Mega core, iaitu hidden from ordinary view, tak macam pandangan biasa. Sabi and wabi maksudnya sesuatu yang sesuatu yang lembut, sesuatu yang halus, tapi sesuatu yang juga yang dimakan oleh lulu hawa atau cuaca. Nampaknya macam lembut, tapi nampak juga kesan yang dimakan cuaca. Sabi and wabi. Dan juga ada juga konsep shin, gyo and so. Maksudnya sesuatu yang man-made and satu natural. Okay, the two school of thought in rock garden. The first school is called Soto. Soto, they believe that the enlightenment will come gradually. Pelan-pelan, lama-lama kita akan dapat enlightenment, pengisian jiwa, through meditation. The second school of thought is called Rinzai. Rinzai believe that it could be, you can get meditation through an instant way, cara cepat, melalui panduan guru, kan? So then, if you refer to the notes, look for the comparison between Oriental art and Western art, comparison between Chinese painting and Western painting, and so stay with me for the second video, okay? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So this is lecture number 4, part 2, VCS 408, okay? So alhamdulillah, we are now discussing the one of these Chinese painting by Ma Yuan, okay? The one on the left, sebelah kiri tu, from the Shang dynasty. So Ma Yuan, an artist from is an artist of from the 7th generation of artists. So the father, the grandfather, great grandfather, and like is from the 7th generation of artists. Active between 1190 to 1225. So he was born in Hangzhou, China, known for his format called One Corner Ma. Dia ni satu orang pelukis di Hangzhou, tok nenek dia semua pelukis. Dia dikenali sebagai One Corner Ma, Ma yang menggunakan format satu sudut. So if you look at the painting, so it's one corner on the left, okay? On the right hand side is like empty, okay? So in Chinese painting, the harmony of man and nature very much observed. So if you look in this painting, manusia tu digambarkan kecil. Sebagaimana kita tengok alam ni, gunung, pokok tu besar, kita kecil. So they try to capture this harmony, harmony between man and nature. In Western painting, man seems to be the central issue. Catatan di barat, manusia ni dia adalah isu yang utama. Landscape is just to support the story or the narrative, or as background to the narrative, or the story, the story from the Bible or whatever story. Jadi dalam catatan barat tu, landscape tu sebagai latar belakang dia untuk sebagai latar belakang kepada penceritaan, penceritaan daripada Bible ke daripada apa, okay? But in this painting, man is in harmony with nature as in our daily life. We are small as compared to the tree and the mountain. Macam dalam kehidupan kita lah digambarkan. Kita ni kecil je kalau kita bandingkan dengan gunung, dengan pokok-pokok yang besar. So we can see the concept of yin and yang. Di sini the concept of Taoism or Taoism, yin and yang or harmony. And simplicity. Concept simplicity is also part of Taoism or Taoism, the essence of the universe. So this painting, it doesn't show what you call imitation ataupun direct imitation atau peniruan yang tepat, tapi dia mengambil essence di intipati alam tu ni, and going with the flow. Jangan dia mengikut flow alam ni, the void or emptiness. Ini yang dikatakan she tadi. Emptiness ni, she ni dihasilkan melalui kekosongan atau void. The void of emptiness in this painting is the breathing space. This is connected to the concept of she or cosmic energy in Taoism. So the dynamic and power of growth of the tree are shown to the intricate branches and the highly textured tree. Jadi kita tengok pokok yang begitu dynamic dan juga dynamic dan juga dia punya simbol pertumbuhan tu, kuasa pertumbuhan tu yang begitu kuat ditunjukkan melalui bentuk yang begitu intricate begitu rumit dan juga tekstur yang banyak pada pokok tu So if you go to the if we now look to the painting on the right by Wang Meng this is a quite recent painting ini tahun 1308 hingga 1385 okay. The concept of mountain atau yang yin and yang mountain ni lah male dalam taujam gunung itu adalah yang yang tu ialah gunung iaitu masculine so vertical menegak, masculine and going to heaven dan menuju ke langit it also symbolize the sun matahari dan juga cahaya and the water for example water kalau we look at the bottom part of the of the painting, water is yin yin is actually feminine cool, calm, and also it symbolizes the moon and also the earth so in the middle of the painting we can see the temple and also the occupant of the temple dan penghuni kuil tu they are shown very small the scale is like very small as compared to the greatness of the tree, greatness of the mountain especially, and also the cascade or the waterfall. Okay, so stay with me with for the third video we will be discussing about the Zen garden. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye for now. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So we still with lecture number 4, part 3. VCS 408, Spirituality in Art. So we are now discussing the Ruanji Rock Garden. Ruanji Rock Garden or from the Ruanji Temple. Okay? Ruanji means the peaceful dragon temple. Ruanji Temple means the peaceful dragon temple. The most famous rock garden in Japan. So it was turned into a Zen garden in 1450 by a person by the name Hosokawa Katsumoto from the Rinzai school of Zen Buddhism. As we have discussed, it is a combination of rock and pebbles or gravel arranged in asymmetrical format. Jadi ini sebenarnya satu karya yang sebelum tahun 1450 lagi tetapi kemudiannya dia telah ditukar menjadi Zen Garden oleh seorang shogun ataupun daripada salah satu daripada ketua samurai yang bernama Hosokawa Katsumoto pada tahun 1450 dia daripada fahaman Rinzai Zen Garden dia ada dua fahaman tu, Soto dan Rinzai kan. So dia telah menjadikannya rock garden dan kita pun tahu rock garden adalah gabungan karya sansui iaitu lanskap yang kering, batu-batu besar dan batu-batu kecil atau pebbles atau kita panggil gravel Okay, so disusun dalam bentuk tidak semungkur. Okay, some scholars say that it represent a tiger carrying cups across a pond of island in the sea. Jadi taman rock garden Ruanji ni dia ada 15 batu besar dia susun dan juga ada setengahnya mengatakan seperti satu perjalanan harimau membawa anak-anaknya di celah-celah pulau di laut but most of the scholar would agree that it represent what we call an abstract idea of infinity banyaklah ahli sejarah mengatakan dia adalah for contemplation, abstract contemplation to achieve an infinity, to achieve enlightenment. Dia adalah tempat untuk bertafakur, meditasi hingga kita mencapai pengisian jiwa, enlightenment. Jadi satu tempat yang aman, sunyi, damai. Tu kita tengok batu tu dan juga gravel tu, batu-batu yang kecil tu, hinggalah kedamaian terisi dalam jiwa kita. So it's an abstract composition of infinity. It is a place for quiet contemplation. So it's free for interpretation. Ikut apalah interpretasi daripada orang melihat, asalkan pengisian jiwa itu tercapai. Apa itu pengisian? Ialah bila kita terasa jiwa kita terisi, itulah enlightenment. Because it is a garden, because it is a garden of a temple, then the garden must be viewed from the temple, from inside the temple. Bahkan taman ni lah taman daripada temple. Jadi nak melihat taman ni kena masuk temple tu. So the visitor will view the garden from the temple. It is a composition of 15 rock. Dia komposisi 15 batu-batu. This rock is standing on patches of moss. Dia duduk atas tumpukan moss. Moss ni ada apa kita panggil lumut. Batu tu besar, ada 15 batu duduk atas tumpukan lumut dan dikelilingi oleh gravel ataupun batu-batu kecil. Surrounded by gravel or pebbles. So the rock actually in Karisan Sui is represent a mountain. Dan juga sometimes it represent Buddha. Kadang-kadang dia symbol Buddha, or sometimes it symbolize power. So most of the rock garden, the moment we come to rock garden, there's like a big rock. So it's like a big welcoming. So the most interesting feature of this Ruanji rock garden is like if a person view it from any point of view, there's always at least one rock is hidden from the other. Maksudnya kalau kita tengok kat sudut mana, maka adalah paling kurang satu batu akan terlindung dengan batu lain. As I told you, the composition should not be symmetrical. Dan is in triangular format biasanya. So the size is like 98 by 32 feet. Almost the size of a tennis court. So the idea of the rock garden is to recreate the essence of nature, like in Chinese landscape painting. I mean, it's the same thing. They try to get the inner essence of the landscape through a simple composition of a mountain and water, plus the tree and cascade and whatsoever. But in the rock garden, so they are using the rock and also the pebbles or the gravel to get the essence of the nature, and it is for the spectator to contemplate and meditate to achieve enlightenment. So that's all for today. So prepare and make sure you study for lecture number 5. So take care. Have a nice day. So Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And salam sejahtera. Bye for Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So welcome back to VCS 408, Spirituality in Art. Today we're gonna discuss Islamic art. So there are 4 videos altogether. Okay, so stay with me till the end. So at the beginning of 21st century, Islam is the fastest growing religion. This includes believers from the Middle East, from Africa, America, from Europe, Asia, and Southeast Asia. So Islamic art goes beyond the calligraphy, extended to the art of living, as long as it is in accordance with the concept of Tawheed. So Islamic art is based on civilization. So the civilization of the Middle East, then the civilization from the Persian, the Turkish civilization, the Osmania, and also from the Mughal or the Indian civilization, and not last but not least from the civilization of the Southeast Asia or Nusantara. Jadi seni Islam lah agama yang berkembang pesat di abad 21 dan dia meliputi banyak bukan setakat seni had dia, asalkan dia tidak bertentangan konsep tauhid dan juga dikatakan dia adalah berdasarkan ketamadunan di Timur Tengah, di Parsi, di India, di Turki dan juga di Nusantara. Okay, Islamic art is based on the concept of tauhid. This is the most important. As long as it is following the concept of tauhid, then it is accepted as Islamic art. Or else it's just Muslim art, the art produced by the Muslim. But it doesn't mean that it abide to the Muslim art. Jadi seni Islam tu mestilah patuh kepada konsep tauhid. Kalau tidak, dia mungkin seni orang Islam tapi bukan seni yang sebenarnya digariskan oleh Islam. So the concept of tauhid, the first concept of tauhid is the unshakable faith. Keyakinan kepada keesaan Allah, tidak boleh mensyirikkannya. Secondly is based from the kalimah syahadah la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Iaitu there's no God but Allah and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. Muhammad is not the son of God like in Christian. Jesus is son of God. In Islam, Muhammad is the messenger of God. So number 3, no realistic representation of God or prophet. Tak boleh buat gambar Allah ataupun gambar Nabi-Nabi. And no realistic representation of a human or animal figure. And the geometric form, the geometric pattern, calligraphy, and also denaturalized plant form are the main characteristic of Islamic art. Jadi kerana itulah larangan yang terdapat tu, maka kaligrafi dan seni daripada bentuk geometri dan juga daripada tumbuhan yang tak sejadi itu menjadi aspek utama seni Islam. In Islam, there's no objective or representation of the supreme reality to be painted or portrayed, as in the case of other religions like the Christian and the Jew. It is a pure abstract form as opposed to the representation of natural object. Tak ada gambaran yang khusus. Ini gambar Tuhan, ini gambar, tak ada. So dia adalah sesuatu yang abstrak. Bertentangan dengan satu perwakilan objek yang natural. Tidak boleh ada perwakilan gambar, ini gambar, tak boleh. According to Al-Faruqi, Quran is the highest form of art in Islam. Quran itulah sebenarnya seni Islam. Al-Faruqi, salah satu scholar ataupun sarjana Islam yang utama. Dan dia telah dibunuh di Temple University di Amerika. Dan kalau if Quran is the highest form of art, then to document the Quran is another highest form of art. Jadi kalau Quran itulah bentuk Islam seni yang tertinggi, maka menjalin Quran tu adalah satu seni yang tinggi. That's why calligraphy or khat is the most important art form in Islamic art. Jadi seni khat tu jadi seni yang terpenting kerana dia menyalin kalamullah, menyalin kitab Allah, firman Allah, maka dan juga dia penting kerana dia perlu diperhalusi, diperindahkan, diperincikan dengan tepat untuk menyalin perkataan tepat. So the Muslim, Allah is unique with no associate. Muslim worship Allah directly without intercessor. They don't need for imagery or saint or angel as the Christian do. Jadi orang Islam ni menyembah Allah terus direct. Tidak perlu kepada image-image saint, wali-wali ataupun angel, malaikat. And Muhammad SAW was human, not divine. Muhammad SAW dia adalah manusia, pesuruh Allah, dan bukannya anak Tuhan. Dia tak perlu disembah. Okay. Khat is the highest form because it is the way to document the highest art, that is Al-Quran. Okay. So because Arabic is the language of the Quran, also all prayers are compulsory in Arabic, and Arabic is said to be the language in paradise in the hereafter. So learning and writing Arabic is very important in Islamic art. Jadi bahasa Arab tu bahasa Quran, bahasa hadis dan juga bahasa dan syurga. Maka sembahyang pun kena bahasa Arab, maka sebab tu perlu dihalusi dan diperindahkan. So the faithful want to reproduce the Quran words in the as beautiful as the human hand can write. Jadi orang beriman, para penulis senihat nak menulis Quran tu seberapa indah yang tangan boleh menulis. So khat or calligraphy not only become decoration on the building on the in the mosque or other building or decoration for other object in public or private building, but it is also a reminder. When people look at it, so they remember, they make a zikrullah, remembrance of Allah SWT. Jadi senihat tu penting, bukan setakat dia hiasan, tapi setiap kali orang tengok maka dia as a reminder, mengingatkan manusia kepada penciptanya. So we will discuss in detail on khat in video number 2. So next to calligraphy is the arabesque and the geometric pattern. So arabesque is actually combination of the plant form, intricate plant form and calligraphy and arranged in a very what you call intricate pattern. And another is called arabesque. Okay, arabesque is actually a French term. Arabesque, something that belong to the Arab. So arabesque ni perkataan dari Perancis. Arabesque tu maksudnya yang berkaitan dengan Arab. Jadi seni yang begini orang Arab yang buat. So another form is called the geometric pattern. So in certain book geometric pattern ni pun dipanggil arabesque juga. Kerana susunan bentuk geometrik yang bersimpul-simpul dan yang berlengkar-lengkar ataupun yang dikembangkan dan digabung jalinkan. So geometric form is important, okay? Because through geometric form in Islamic art, the people don't concentrate on the image of the creature, the creature of God, but they actually looking at the perfection of the universal creation, the perfection of the universe, maksudnya. Jadi dia tidak melihat kepada dia tidak konsep pada bentuk ciptaan Allah, tapi dia melihat pada kesempurnaan geometric pattern yang dihasilkan tu sebagai simbol kesempurnaan alam ciptaan Tuhan. So from a basic circle, the shape of a circle comes the triangle, the square and also the hexagon. Daripada bentuk yang simple, bentuk bulatan tu datanglah 4 segi tepat, 3 persegi dan juga bentuk hexagon. So the creativity and the possibility of a new art form is based wholly on mathematical shape and calculation. Jadi kalau kita nak menghasilkan satu yang kreatif dan yang baru, terserahlah kepada asal kita boleh mengira secara matematik atau buat calculation, maka kita boleh buat bentuk geometrik yang menarik. So ini juga dikaitkan dengan apa? This is also connected to the intellectual ability of the Arab in terms of science and geometry. So after the after discussing about calligraphy and geometric form, the architecture is the most important the third most important form of art, Islamic art. Okay, so according to Nasirin Mustafa in a book the 7 principles of Islamic art. So there are 7 principles in Islamic architecture. Okay, this include the Tauhid, Ihtiram, Ikhlas, Iktisad, Haya and Ilm. So I will be discussing this in video number 4. So stay with me till the end of video number 4 to gain full insight of this topic, Islamic art. Okay, so I see you with video number 2, 3 and 4. Okay, bye for now. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. This is part 2 of lecture number 5, VCS 408, Spirituality in Art. Okay, so we are now discussing the calligraphy or khat in Islam. Calligraphy in Islamic art. Okay, as mentioned earlier, khat is important and dignified because it is used to honor the words of Islam holy book, the Al-Quran. If the Quran is the highest form of art, then the documentation of it is also a form next highest highest as a work of art in Islam. Jadi kita hari ni bincang tentang kaligrafi. Dia sangat mulia dan dimuliakan kerana dia adalah cara untuk menyalin wahyu, untuk menjalin perintah-perintah Allah, kalam Allah, dan juga wahyu yang diberikan oleh Allah SWT kepada Nabi Muhammad SAW, untuk mencatat firman Allah dan juga wahyu, dan juga untuk menyalin beribu-ribu kitab, dan juga untuk menyalin menulis surat-surat untuk tujuan dakwah, dan juga untuk tujuan hiasan dan peringatan, zikrullah. With the prohibition of the realistic images of human and animal, art become an avenue for creative, informative, didactic medium of art. Kerana larangan menggambar makhluk-makhluk yang bernyawa atau makhluk yang ada roh. Dikatakan satu hadis tu, siapa yang lukis benda, image yang berroh, besok dia harap Allah Ta'ala suruh bagi roh pada image tu. This according to certain narration of the hadis. Okay, because of this prohibition, larangan ni, maka seni khat adalah satu jalan keluar di mana kreativiti dapat ekspreskan. Okay? Dan ia berbentuk kreatif dan juga informatif, kerana dia mengajar, dapat menyebarkan dapat mengajar melalui penulisan kitab-kitab, dan juga penulisannya melengkapkan penulisan Quran dengan tulisan yang tepat dan indah dan betul. So the faithful want to reproduce the Quran sacred word as beautiful as and precise as a script as the hand could contrive. I say it again. The faithful want to reproduce the Quran sacred word in as beautiful and precise a script as human hand could contrive. Jadi orang beriman ni, para muharir atau penulis ni, nak menggambarkan, nak menulis Quran seberapa cantik dan seberapa tepat, yang mana tangan manusia boleh buat. So the calligrapher were honoured and rewarded in this world and the hereafter. Yang penulis ni, kaligrafi ni, muharir, dia dimuliakan oleh istana, dimuliakan oleh orang awam, dan juga dia akan dimuliakan di akhirat nanti. Syaratnya dia ikhlas lah. So on the screen now, dekat screen kalau anda tengok, at the top, is example of the style of Kufi calligraphy decorating the ceramic plate from Iran or Uzbekistan, 900 to 1000 AD. So this is an example of the usage of what you call decorative function of the khat calligraphy. Kerana kaligrafi ni berbentuk linear, because calligraphy is in a linear form, so it can be adjusted to so many surfaces and to so many shapes and objects. Kerana dia berbentuk garisan, maka dia mudah diatur. So in this case kita tengok hiasan pada decoration on the ceramic plate. And so in calligraphy there's a lot of style, like Kufi, Nasah, Diwani, Rik'ah, Tulus, and many more. So these are, but there are like 6 important traditional style of khat, and there are so many, not only 6 but hundreds of style. But the contemporary style is like a free style. Mari kita yang contemporary ni lah gaya bebas. So khat is used in recording the hadith, the kitab, thousands and thousands of kitab in Islamic civilization is being written down using a very delicate and very beautiful khat. Poetry, like example from the note you can see from your lecture note, you have the example of poetry written in Divani script, I think. Letters and decorating the building, interior and exterior building of the mosque and other public and private building. So they are not just decoration, but they remind the spectator the greatness of Allah SWT. Jadi seni khat ni apabila dia menghiasi masjid atau dalam rumah kita, most of the time it is a remembrance of Allah SWT. Dia mengingatkan kita pada Allah SWT. So at the bottom of the slide, kalau tengok on the screen, is an example of contemporary freestyle kind of khat or calligraphy made by fiberglass. So the medium is fiberglass, and it is an untitled work, tanpa tajuk, produced in 2011. Inilah contoh seni khat sampai sekarang diusahakan secara kreatif, sama ada dengan gaya tradisional ataupun dengan gaya bebas. So in video number 3, I will discuss the arabesque and geometric pattern in Islamic art. So stay with me for the third and fourth video. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So this is part 3 of lecture number 5, VCS 408, Spirituality in Art. So we are now discussing arabesque and geometric pattern in Islamic art. Arabesque means the related to the Arab. It's a French term. So arabesque means something that is related to the Arab. So arabesque combines denaturalized plant form, calligraphy, geometry to form intricate design as a decorative element in Islamic art. So kita bincang tentang arabesque. Arabesque ni istilah bahasa Perancis, arabesque, design yang berkaitan dengan Arab maksudnya. So arabesque adalah gabungan bentuk tumbuhan tak sejadi, kaligrafi dan bentuk dan juga corak geometri untuk menghasilkan satu jalinan yang rumit dan juga halus yang penting dalam seni Islam. Geometric pattern developed from basic shape like square, circle and triangle are intricately or sophisticatedly arranged and developed to form a never ending pattern. Dan geometrik, corak-corak geometrik pula kadang-kadang disebut arabesque juga. Geometric pattern ni dia 100% geometrik, tak. Dia develop dikembangkan daripada bentuk asas bulatan, 3 persegi dan juga 4 persegi tepat. Ada setengah buku mengatakan daripada bulatan itulah keluarnya 3 persegi, 4 persegi tepat dan bentuk oktagon 8 segi yang dibina kemudiannya dikembangkan hingga menghasilkan bentuk-bentukan yang tidak berkesudahan. So Islamic pattern is a unique Islamic art form, moving away from glorifying the figural image of man or animal. Jadi dia satu bentuk seni Islam yang unik, bergerak daripada mengagungkan atau memuja bentuk-bentuk figura manusia dan binatang dan melihat kesempurnaan ciptaan alam ni. So kerana dia melihat bentuk-bentuk daripada bentuk geometrik tu. It is an open-ended kind of composition as long as an artist can design his own creative pattern. Dia adalah satu komposisi yang terbuka. Selagi pelukis tu boleh menghasilkan corak yang kreatif. So dia juga menggambarkan kepintaran orang Arab dalam bidang geometri dan juga matematik. So it shows it is a manifestation of the Arabs. They were very good in mathematics and geometry. So on the screen now is the arabesque design on the dome on the building, the Dome of the Rock, built in 1692 by Khalifah of the Umayyad Empire, Abdul Malik bin Marwan. So what this arabesque actually designed in the form of tile work. Anda lihat di skrin sekarang adalah contoh arabesque daripada Dome of the Rock, Kubah Sakra. Jadi Kubah Sakra ni di Jerusalem, dibina oleh Khalifah Abdul Malik bin Marwan sempena kedatangan Islam ke Jerusalem. Ini kita dah cerita dalam 1835 kan. Apabila Sayyidina Umar datang dan dia ambil bandar ni daripada orang Kristian, maka kemudiannya bila selepas zaman Sayyidina Umar, zaman Umayyah, maka Abdul Malik bin Marwan datang ke kawasan dan bina Dome of the Rock ni. So Dome of the Rock ni dia melindungi batu batu yang dikatakan nak mengikut Nabi waktu Nabi nak mi'raj ke langit. Dome of the Rock ni bukan Masjid Aqsa, Masjid Aqsa sebelah dia Masjid Aqsa sebelah ini, dan tapi Dome of the Rock ni part of tanah haram juga iaitu tanah suci. So dan dalam slide ni ditunjukkan arabesque tu dah dibuat dalam bentuk jubin dan ditampalkan ke dinding. The dome used to be covered by gold. Dome-nya asalnya daripada salutan emas tapi kemudiannya dia telah ianya hanyalah warna emas saja, bukannya emas yang sejati. In this example, the geometric pattern is paired with the calligraphy to complete the ornamentation and our appreciation. Jadi dekat sini kita lihat bahawa geometric pattern tu dilengkapkan dengan what we call calligraphy. So dalam Islamic art selalunya begitu. So they have the calligraphy, and a part of calligraphy they have the geometric pattern. So it completes the circle. Dia menyempurnakan karya seni dia. So according to Zahra Hussain, one of the most successful contemporary painter in UK, she uses what we call Islamic geometric pattern. So the use of pattern is part of the way that Islamic art represent nature and object by their spiritual qualities, not by the physical and material qualities. Jadi Zahra Hussain mengatakan geometric pattern ni adalah cara orang Islam menunjukkan alam semula jadi, tapi bukan secara material yang kita nampak, tapi secara spiritual. Okay, so stay with me for the fourth video. Untuk video keempat, I'll be talking about Islamic architecture. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Assalam sejahtera. So this is part 4, lecture number 5, VCS 408, Spirituality in Art. So we are now discussing the principle of architecture in Islamic art. According to the book The Divine Inspiration, 7 Principles of Islamic Architecture by Nasirin Mustafa, edited by Lucien Degas, published by the Museum of Islamic Art in Malaysia. The principles are Tauhid, Ihtiram, Ikhlas, Pursuit of Ilm, Iqtisad, Haya, and Zikr. Remember Allah SWT. So Tauhid means that the building should be focusing on the what you call the oneness of God. Dan dia it should avoid element which make association of God. Ya, tauhid tu maksudnya bangunan tu mestilah mengelakkan daripada ada unsur kesyirikan. Lepas tu ihtiram. Ihtiram, ikhlas. Bangunan tu dibuat dengan ikhlas. Pursuit of ilm, maksudnya ada bangunan tu ada usaha-usaha untuk menampakkan tempat di mana orang buat pengajian ilmu. Iktisad, balance. Jadi segala dekorasi, fungsi dan sebagainya ia hendaklah seimbang. Misalnya kalau tengah masjid tu tempat di mana tempat lelaki, perempuan, apa semuanya, it should be like a correct balance. Haya, itu kesederhanaan. Dan juga zikir, tempat tu mestilah mengingatkan kita kepada remembrance of God, atau tempat di mana orang mengingati kebesaran Allah SWT. Dan juga, dan itu lebih kurang. That actually the 7 principles according to certain scholars. But in certain mosques, maybe not all principles are applied. But most of the principle can be seen in the Islamic architecture. Mungkinlah di setengah-tengah bangunan seni Islam tu 7 elemen tu mungkin tak ada 7 prinsip, tapi sebahagian besarnya ada. So on the screen now is the example of the Cordoba Mosque in Andalusia in Spain. Contoh yang ada di depan anda ni, di skrin ni adalah Masjid Cordoba, iaitu di Andalusia daripada Spanyol. Cordoba was the capital of Umayyah dynasty in Spain from 756 to 1031 AD. Cordoba adalah ibu negara ibu negara kerajaan Umayyah yang ketika itu berada di Sepanyol, iaitu tahun 756 hingga 1031 tahun Masih. Ada orang Islam duduk di Spain lebih lama lagi. Ini adalah tempoh kerajaan Umayyah saja. Founded in 780 AD, dibina pada tahun 780 AD. It was added from time to time for nearly 200 years. Jadi selepas dia orang Islam telah menakluk kawasan ni, maka sedikit demi sedikit hinggalah dikatakan mengambil masa hampir 200 tahun, sikit sampailah dia menjadi satu masjid yang ketiga terbesar di dalam dunia Islam. So it was 200 years to added to the mosque to become the largest mosque in Islamic art. The prayer hall is 23,000 square meter, 23,400 square meter. Jadi dewan sembahyangnya adalah 24,500 meter persegi, and is filled with 500 slender column, dan dia dipenuhi oleh tiang-tiang, 500 tiang, but the total column is 856. Tu dekat Dewan Utama tu 500, tapi seluruh bangunan tu ada 856 tiang. It looks like forest of date tree in Syria. Ada setengah sejarawan mengatakan dia seperti pokok-pokok kurma di ladang kurma di Syria. The Islamic rule of Cordoba is from 711 to 1492 AD. Jadi sebenarnya orang Islam merintah di tahun 711 hingga 1492 Masih. In 1492, the Christian took over Cordoba and the mosque was turned into a church. Pada tahun 1492, orang Kristian telah mengambil alih tempat ni. Masjid Cordoba ni telah dijadikan sebagai katedral, satu katedral ataupun satu gereja yang besar, katedral. So part of the original mosque was burned down. Ada sebahagian masjid telah dimusnahkan. The mosque, according to many visitors and historians, has an architectural wonder for its aura of spirituality, tranquility and perfect proportion. Ramailah ahli sejarah Islam dan bukan Islam yang mengkaguminya, mengatakan bahawa satu karya seni bina yang mengkagumkan, ada aura spirituality, kerohanian, ketenangan dan juga kadar banding yang sangat sempurna. So for the next lecture, please read on spirituality in modern art, the work by Kandinsky, Mondrian and Kazimir Malevich. So till then, take care, have a nice week ahead. So stay safe, observe the SOP of the PKP. So take care, bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. So we are now doing VCS 408, lecture number 6, part 1. So as you know, we are now in week 6 and we are doing lecture number 6, spirituality in modern art. Modern art means 20th century. If you can still remember, there are so many definitions of spirituality which we have given the first part of the lecture notes. It's from the perspective of religion, artistic and medical, also sociology, from all perspectives. So, but as a conclusion, all refer to the aspect of inner dimension of feelings and meanings, and all are beyond the material or real thing that can be seen. Alhamdulillah, kita buat lecture nombor 6 ni, iaitu spirituality, kerohanian dalam seni moden. Jadi abad ke-20. Jadi kalau anda masih ingat definisi yang banyak tentang kerohanian dari berbagai perspektif, tapi yang paling penting ialah kita boleh simpulkan ialah spirituality satu yang dimensi dalaman ya, perasaan, makna, satu yang melepasi material dan juga benda visual yang boleh lihat ya. So in the Western world, the modern art was very influenced by the theosophy, philosophy of spirituality, especially the works of Vasily Kandinsky, Kupka, Piet Mondrian, and Kazimir Malevich. But for today's lecture, we're gonna discuss the work of Vasily Kandinsky, Piet Mondrian, and so Kazimir Malevich. Jadi seni abad 20 ni banyak dipengaruhi oleh seni moden, falsafah keranan, teosofi. Cuma kali ni kita akan fokus pada tiga, iaitu Kandinsky, Mondrian dan Malevich. Theosophy is any philosophy maintaining a knowledge of God may be achieved through spiritual ecstasy, direct intuition, or special individual relation, especially by the Theosophical Society by Helena Blavatsky and Henry Steele Olcott in the late 19th and early 20th century. Jadi teosofi ni falsafah mengatakan boleh berhubungan Tuhan melalui ekstasi ni, maksudnya satu orang boleh sampai ke tahap dia bersatu dengan Tuhan ataupun sebagai intuition dan juga direct intuition cara naluriah ataupun hubungan yang istimewa antara seorang tu dengan penciptanya, terutamanya yang dibuat oleh Persatuan Teosofi yang diasaskan di barat oleh Helena Blavatsky. Ini kerohanian dari segi orang putih lah, segi Mak Saleh. Satu lagi falsafah, another important philosophy of that time is the philosophy of the fourth dimension. Iaitu, what are the fourth dimension? The first one is non-Euclidean geometry. The second one infinity and illogicality. The illusion of time and motion, the reversal of reality and unreality, and lastly the monism, the unity of all things. Jadi selain daripada teosofi ini, ada falsafah tentang 4 dimensi keempat, iaitu yang pertama adalah satu non-Euclidean geometry, bukan geometri yang biasa yang orang gunakan untuk mengira permukaan bumi, tapi ada tu cara yang baru, itu dipanggil non-Euclidean. Infinity, iaitu infinity dan dianggap illogicality, illogicality, itu yang tidak logik, tapi dia infinite, tak berkesudahan, ilusi masa dan pergerakan. Reversal maksudnya satu pengunduran antara realiti dan bukan realiti, dan juga monism, penyatuan semua benda. Nanti kita akan lihat bahawa semua ciri ini nantinya cuba digambarkan dalam karya Kandinsky misalnya, ataupun karya Malevich. The above philosophies has provided and encouraged and motivated abstract artists whose dream to create a new, innovative and meaningful work of art. This was the case for Kandinsky, Mondrian and Malevich. Jadi falsafah yang kita sebutkan di atas, teosofi dan juga dimensi keempat tu, dia memberikan wadah kepada Kandinsky, Mondrian juga Malevich untuk menghasilkan karya yang bermakna, bernilai dan juga inovatif. Among these artists, Kandinsky is the most notable and consistent in the pursuit of this quest. Antara tiga orang ni, Kandinsky lah yang paling ketara, begitu konsisten. Tapi ketiga-tiganya pun sama hebat. Born in Moscow in 1966 from a good cultural family. Say it again, born in Moscow in 1966 from a good cultural family. He was initially a symbolic artist. Then he also played the piano, a good pianist. And he was trained as a lawyer, and but later on turned to be an artist because he joined the art school later on. So he has wrote a book on concerning the spiritual in art. That was in 1912. Jadi Kandinsky ni antara yang menyelah. Walaupun yang dua orang lagi tu pun sama. Kandinsky ni dilahirkan di Moskow tahun 66. Bapa memang keluarga yang orang berada dan terhormat. Mula-mula jadi pelukis simbolis. Pelukis simbolis ni dia karya macam fantasi dan juga spiritual juga, tapi lebih kepada Christian iconography dan juga fantasy. Dan dia ada menulis buku pada tahun 1912 tentang concerning the spiritual in art, berkenaan kerohanian dalam sini. Anda boleh, you can see from note. His art is then a display of theosophy and his own interpretation of the art. Jadi karyanya menjadi karya teosofi dan juga interpretasi dirinya tentang seni. So I will explain this in the second video. Saya akan terangkan melalui karya di video kedua. So stay with me with the second, third and fourth video. Okay, maksudnya stay with me till the end. Okay. Next is Piet Mondrian, a Dutch artist, born on 7th of March 1872, died in New York in February the 1st, 1944. He was famous as the founding member of a movement called the Style. The Style ataupun dalam bahasa Belanda ejaannya DESTIGL, the Style. Also called Neoplatonism, atau orang panggil the Style ataupun Neoplatonism. Neo tu baru, Platonism ialah kalau Plato tu ceritakan keindahan itu melalui mimesis, peniruan. Ini keindahan yang bukan peniruan. So that's why it's called Neoplatonism. This style is the modern Dutch art movement, which was abstract of grid work of interlocking perpendicular black lines enclosing square of red, blue and yellow. Jadi this style ni ialah biasanya seni abstrak yang ada garisan-garisan grid, grid warna hitam dan banyak bentuk empat persegi yang diisi dengan warna prima, warna itu merah, kuning dan biru. Dan kadang-kadang ada juga sedikit warna what they call kelabu grey. So Mondrian was in Paris in 1912 and back from Paris after the war, after the First World War. In 1929 he started his famous painting called composition with red, yellow and blue. Setelah balik daripada Paris lepas Perang Dunia Pertama, dia menghasilkan karya komposisi dengan merah, biru dan juga kuning. Before settling in New York till his last breath in 1944, sebelum dia pindah ke New York hingga dia meninggal di sana tahun 1944. So he once said, I wish to approach truth as closely as is possible, and therefore I abstract everything until I arrived at the fundamental quality of object. Dia pernah berkata, aku nak mendekati kebenaran pada apa yang aku lihat, jadi aku abstrakkan semuanya sampai kepada kualiti yang paling asas pada objek. I will discuss the work of Mondrian in video number 3. So stay with me in video number 3. The third artist we gonna discuss is Kazimir Malevich. Kazimir Malevich is born in Kyiv, Ukraine. The place now is Ukraine. During that time it was under the ruling of the Russian government. Born February 23rd, 1878 and died May 15, 1935. A painter and theoretician. Just now, Kandinsky and Mondrian also, they were master painter and theoretician. pioneer of the geometric abstract and originator of avant-garde movement called suprematism. Dia ni pelopor ni abstrak yang kita panggil sebenarnya suprematism. This was his unique this was his own unique philosophy of perception and painting. He believed that art should transcend subject matter. The truth of shape and color reigns supreme over the image or narrative. Dia kata bahawa ini satu konsep baru bahawa seni mesti melepasi subjek kajiannya, melepasi daripada warna, kemudian warna, bentuk dan melepasi ke image dan juga penceritaan. Flat abstract area of painting. All these shape, they have multi-layered, powerful symbol and mystical feelings of the time and space. Jadi mengatakan bentuk-bentuk yang rata, flat dan juga karya abstrak ni, dia punya makna yang lapisan makna, simbol yang punya lapisan makna dan juga perasaan mistik, masa dan ruang. This can be seen through his early geometric work like Black and Red Square, 1915. So I will discuss his painting in video number 4. So stay with me. Guys, this is quite a difficult topic. You have to study the notes carefully and try to make sense of and connection to these recordings. Okay, so stay with me for the second, third, and fourth recording. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are now discussing the work of Vasily Kandinsky. Now this is part 2, VCS 408, Spirituality in Art, lecture number 6. Again, we are discussing the work of Vasily Kandinsky, a Russian artist born in Moscow, 1866, December 10, 1866, Moscow, Russia. Okay. So on the screen now, at the top part is the oil painting. Oil painting by Kandinsky, titled Transverse Line. Transverse Line, 1923, 141 by 200 centimeter. That's the dimension. This is an example of abstract art with spiritual overtones or message. In his earlier work, Kandinsky was influenced by the spirituality of the symbolist artists, which are more of a fantasy of the religious nature. Then when moving towards abstraction, his painting were under the musical kind of title, like the composition and improvisation series. So you can refer to the notes. Jadi kita hari ini berjagaan tangan pelukis Rusia, iaitu yang lahir di Moskow 1866, Vasily Kandinsky. Yang ada di skrin sekarang sebelah atas, yang ada di skrin ni bahagian atas, painting yang berjudul Transverse Line. Sambar 23, 140 kali 200 cm, itu ukuran. Inilah contoh abstrak yang telah dihasilkan dengan dikatakan mengandungi message spiritual. Pada awalnya karyanya bersifat simbolis, lebih kepada keagamaan dan juga fantasi. Tapi bila dia mula buat karya abstrak, inilah contoh karyanya. Dan karya ni dia di karya awalnya dia buat abstrak tu lebih kepada tajuk muzik, macam composition and improvisation. So anda boleh lihat dan menontak. For this painting, that's shown on the screen, the top one, Transverse Line, it It is a move toward geometrical abstraction. This was created when he was teaching at Bauhaus, Bauhaus School of Art in Germany, from 1922 to 1933. So he received a German citizenship in 1928, and he stayed there for some time. The most dominant shape, the circle in this painting represented the peace and the human soul. To Kandinsky, circle is romantic, the most complex element in his painting. Jadi contoh karya yang kita lihat, transverse line ni yang di atas, ada satu perubahan ke arah abstract painting yang secara geometrikal. Ini dihasilkan bila dia mengajar di Bauhaus School of Art di Jerman, dan dia menerima kewarganegaraan Jerman pada tahun 1928. Dia menjadi pernah menjadi timbalan pengarah di sekolah seni Bauhaus. Dalam karya ni yang paling penting adalah bentuk bulatan. Bentuk bulatan tu bentuk yang utama. Dikatakan bulatan tu seperti simbol kepada ketenangan dan juga kejiwaan manusia ataupun roh manusia. Bagi Kandinsky, circle tu adalah romantik, satu elemen yang sangat kompleks. At first all elements seem to be chaotic, but later on as we look at the painting and we make fine tuning, it evokes a feeling of peace and happiness. Jadi painting di atas tu sekali kita tengok, kita rasa macam kecoh, macam tak ada ketenangan. Tapi apabila kita merenungnya dan menghayatinya, maka dia akan membawa perasaan tenang dan kegembiraan. True abstraction, focusing on line, shape and color. Jadi dia adalah bentuk abstraksi seperti yang bentuk sepenuhnya abstrak, menggunakan garisan, bentuk dan warna. The painting at the bottom is called circle in a circle. Catatan yang di bawah tu dipanggil bulatan dan bulatan. 1923 all painting as well, 98 by 96 centimeter. A very compact kind of painting. This was the first time he used circle in his painting. Ini kali pertama. Lepas tu adalah dia guna circle. Ini kali pertama dalam painting ni dia menggunakan bulatan. The outer black circle is like a second frame. Kalau tengok pada painting bawah ni, ada bulatan yang garisan hitam tebal tu seperti frame yang kedua pula, yang focusing in the this outer black circle is like a frame, focusing on the interaction of the inner small circle within the two crossing diagonal lines. Jadi seperti memfokus kepada bulatan-bulatan kecil yang berada di persimpangan atau persilangan dua garisan diagonal ataupun garisan condong. The two painting can be explained also in terms of the fourth dimension theory. Boleh kita terangkan seperti teori fourth dimension. Misalnya illusion of space and time, logic and illogicality. Satu logic and illogicality. Time and illusion, monism. So this painting actually not only explain the spiritual theosophy of the Western world, it also explain the Kandinsky's own philosophy, and also trying to explain the fourth dimension. So stay with me for the third video. We're gonna talk about there'll be a discussion on the work of Piet Mondrian. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This is part 3 of lecture number 6, VCS 408. Lecture number 6, VCS 408, Spirituality in Art. We are now discussing the work of Piet Mondrian, born in Netherlands in 1872 and died 1944 in New York, America. He started a movement called the Style. You spell it DESTIJL, the Style. From 1917 to 1931. He was engaged with naturalistic, impressionism and cubism before moving to the so-called movement, the new movement, the Style. So hari ni nak bicarakan tentang Piet Mondrian, pelukis Belanda, lahir di Belanda dan meninggal dunia 1944 di New York, di Amerika. Dia adalah pemula ataupun pelopor di Style, 1917-1931. Dan dia sebelum dia menjadi pelopor di Style, dia terlibat dengan karya naturalistik, impressionism dan juga cubism. So he was in Paris in 1914 to 1921, England sometime in 1940. Then he went to New York and died there in 1944. Under the influence of Dutch Theosophy, Dutch Theosophical Society, in 1909. His abstraction can be seen in his early study of the apple tree, 1908, 1911 and 1912. So in his study of the apple tree, he ended with composition 1913, and composition with grey and light brown 1918. So you have to refer to the notes. Ada tu apa? Ni kita bicara tentang karya Mondrian, yang mana dia berada di Paris dan juga di England, kemudian dia meninggal dunia di New York, Amerika. Dia mendapat pengaruh yang kuat daripada Persatuan Teosofi Belanda sekitar 1909. Kemudian dia bergerak ke arah abstraction atau karya abstrak, maka ada study, ada kajian dia. Kalau kita lihat pada nota, dia mengkaji tentang pokok apple, karya dan sketsanya atau lukisannya pada 1908, 1911, 1912. Dan akhirnya dia menghasilkan komposisi 1913, dan juga komposisi dengan warna kelabu dan juga warna perang muda, 1918. Anda kena, you have look to the, refer to notes. He reduces the apple tree to horizontal and vertical scheme of line. To this he remarked regarding this approach. To approach the spiritual in art, one will make as little as possible reality, because reality is opposed to spirituality. So dia mengatakan bahawa kenapa kalau kita nak mencapai spirituality, kita kena kurungkan, kita kena sampai ke tahap mana kita boleh kurangkan apa yang kita nampak kepada yang as little as possible. Seberapa kurang reality tu, kalau boleh jadikan, kalau tidak maka kita tak boleh gambarkan spirituality, kerana spirituality tu bertentangan dengan reality. So jadi apa dia buat, macam kita katakan tadi, dia telah jadikan pokok apple tu kepada garisan horizontal dan vertical. In this connection, he considered the vertical line to represent the tree and horizontal to show the expanse of the earth. Jadi dalam hubungan ni, yang garisan menegak tu ialah pokok-pokok tu, dan juga yang mendatar tu ialah bumi, bumi yang terbentang luas ni. Mondrian chose to distill his representation of the world to the horizontal and vertical, positive and negative, masculine and feminine. Jadi dia pilih untuk merakam alam sekeliling dia kepada bentuk vertikal horizontal seperti benda yang bertentangan, positif negatif, masculine and feminine, seperti konsep yin and yang kita belajar lah dalam Taoism. On the screen now is the painting of this style, or sometimes labeled as the Neoplatonism. Jadi anda lihat di screen ni adalah painting-painting daripada aliran the style yang kita kata yang dipelopori oleh pihak Mondrian, dan semuanya garisan dekat mendata. Mondrian dia tidak percaya pada garisan condong diagonal. Walaupun ada ahli style lain yang membuat garisan condong, tapi Mondrian tak pernah buat. Kadang-kadang di style ni dipanggil Neoplatonism, iaitu kalau Plato menekankan tentang peniruan, maka Neoplatonism ni dia menentang peniruan, diabstrakkan. So, dan kalau kita lihat di yang painting tu sebelah kiri tu karya yang terkenal, iaitu Composition with Red, Yellow and Blue, 1929. And the one on the left is as I mentioned just now, Composition with Red, Yellow and Blue, 1929, using the basic primary colors, plus the black grid line, and so grey to neutralize the composition. Jadi menggunakan warna asas, merah, biru, kuning dan juga warna kelabu untuk neutraliskan komposisi, dan juga grid warna hitam. Yang sebelah kanan, top right is the painting called Broadway Boogie Woogie. This was done in New York, where the composition become more complex and full of vitality or energy and dynamism. So inilah karya sebelum dia meninggal, yang ni dihasilkan di New York, Broadway Boogie Woogie. So dia akhirnya meninggal dunia di New York sama 44. And karya-karya Mondrian ni adalah contoh. Dia juga seorang master painter dan juga seorang theoretician, menggambarkan dia punya complexity of idea, daripada apa yang dilihat tu diringkaskan. He simplified everything into vertical horizontal. So stay with me for the fourth video. We'll be discussing the work of Kazimir Malevich. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are now in part 4, lecture number 6, VCF 408, Spirituality in Art. We are discussing now the work of Kazimir Malevich, one of the great artists or master painter, and also theoretician of art by the name of Kazimir Malevich. He came with a style of painting called suprematism. Born 1879 in Kiev, near Ukraine, and died 1935 in Leningrad in Russia. So hari ni nak bincang tentang seorang pelukis terkenal, adik guru painting dan juga penteori seni, bernama Kazimir Malevich. Gaya catatannya dipanggil atau gerakannya dipanggil suprematism. Lahir 1879 di Kiev, dekat Ukraine, dan dia meninggal dunia 1935 di Leningrad di Russia. He started to draw at the age of 12. He is well known for working and exploring pure geometric form of square, triangles and circle, and the relationship in pictorial space. Mula melukis 12 tahun lagi. Dia sangat terkenal kepada penerokaan dan juga usaha-usahanya membuat karya abstrak daripada bentuk geometri seperti 4 persegi, 3 persegi dan juga bulatan. dan mengkaji hubung kait bentuk-bentuk ni dalam ruang gambaran. To him, suprematism come from the word supremus, meaning perfected or superior. Refer to his intent to liberate painting from the shackles of mimesis to a higher state and greater spatial freedom. Jadi bagi dia suprematism tu ialah daripada perkataan supremus, maknanya telah jadi lengkap atau telah melepasi melepasi apa dia, merujuk kepada cita-citanya nak membebaskan Catan daripada belenggu peniruan mimesis, peniruan kepada daerah yang lebih tinggi, aras yang lebih tinggi, dan juga kepada kebebasan ruang. This can be seen in his early works like Untitled 1916, please refer to the notes, and Black and Red Squares 1915. So if you refer to the notes, you can see this all the early works of Malevich. On screen now is the Red Square 1915. According to Malevich, the square was a zero form from which initiate a new way of creating, a new potential, I can say. So kalau kita lihat pada karya awalnya, Black and Red Square 1915, dan juga daripada yang dia ada di screen sekarang lah, the Red Square. Menurut Malevich, square tempat segi tepat ni adalah bentuk kosong, yang mana dia memberi galakan kepada proses mencipta, dia initiate new ways of creating. Is Black Square, catatannya satu lagi iaitu empat persegi hitam, Black Square 1915 to him is full of potential. The Red Square now shown on the screen is a sign of revolution, and later in 1917 he painted the White Square. You can refer to notes, you can see this painting, which he considered as the pure movement. Jadi karya empat persegi hitam dia tu, Black Square 1915, adalah dikatakan penuh dengan potensi. It can be anything, boleh jadi apa-apa. The Red Square yang anda lihat di skrin ni adalah menunjukkan revolusi, merah. And kemudiannya pada tahun 1917 dia menghasilkan White Square, empat persegi putih, yang mana dia kira ni sebagai gerakan yang murni, ataupun yang asli, pure. If you refer to the notes, many interesting pure geometric abstract painting produced after this period, like the famous painting called Suprematism, 1928, where a depiction of a cross of a vertical red and black horizontal bold lines. Jadi kalau anda tengok pada nota tu, misalnya ada karya yang banyak karya menarik, termasuk sebuah karya bernama Suprematism 1928, ke mana ada bentuk palang, bentuk palang, iaitu vertikal bentuk menegak warna merah dan juga melintang warna hitam, begitu simple sekali. Jadi for that reason, I mean, please refer to the notes, because there's so many things that you can learn from this lecture, because these are all modern art. They have very great impact on the contemporary art as well. All the artists, Kandinsky, Modern, and Malevich, were master painter and great theoretician of art. Their impact on modern and contemporary art are undeniable, even until today. So for next lecture, please study spirituality in Malay art, for lecture number 8. So stay safe, stay home, observe the PKP SOP, take care, bye for now. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So this is lecture number 7, VCS 408. Today's lecture is on spirituality in Malay art. So this is a very quite difficult, very difficult and interesting lecture. So please refer to your notes, even before or after listening to the recordings. Okay. So we have divided the topic into several parts, namely the definition, Malay Kingdom, Malay worldview, and lastly, Malay philosophy and aesthetic. In terms of definition, there are two main definitions, the broad definition and the specific definition. The broad definition involves geocultural or sociological definition. This involves Malay-speaking people of the Malay world, 13,000 islands of Indonesia, 7,000 islands in Philippines, covering the area of 2 million square kilometer. Wallace in 1962 defined the Malay world as 4,000 miles in length and to the west, and 1,300 the breadth atau lebarnya to the south. Taib Osman in 1988 agrees that Malay world or Malay archipelago is from Madagascar on the west and Taiwan to the east. So Indochina and the Indochina Peninsula on the north and Indonesia to the south, based on sharing the common language, cultural artifact, belief, and social structure, and physical nature of the Malayo-Polynesian group of people. Okay. In terms of specific definition of the Malay, the Constitution of the Federation of Malaysia, Article 160, define Malay as the people who speak the Malay language, practice the religion of Islam, and habitually dress and live as Malay. So definition is more like cultural than ethnic. Even if you are Muslim, although you are from other ethnic, you are considered as Malay according to the Constitution. So we now go to the second part of the lecture, which is the Malay Kingdom. The Malay kingdoms can be divided into two groups before and after the fall of Malacca. Sebelum dan kejatuhan selepas kejatuhan Malacca, 1511. Sebab if you refer to the notes before Malacca, sebelum Malacca, Malacca become the Malacca Empire become Muslim in 1414. 1414, where Paramiswara was using Iskandar Shah, using a Muslim name. There were a kingdom like Ganga Negara in Beras, Perak, Langkau Suka in Kedah, and Pan in Petani. Some scholars say in Kelantan. Then we have the Sultanate of Malacca. Well, after the fall of Malacca, so according to the history, the Sultan of Malacca, he fled to Johor Lama, then he fled to Pasai. So after the fall of Malacca, we have the Malay Kingdom of Samudra Pasai, the Kingdom of Srivijaya and Jambi. As a conclusion, the Malays have a strong footing of historical power and majesty before and after Malacca. Now the third part, thirdly, the worldview of the Malays. The worldviews of the Malay move from the philosophy of 1,000 years of Hindu Buddha to religious belief when they converted to Islam in the late 14th or 15th century. From mythological animistic worldview of the Hindu Buddha, they move on to Tawhid. Tawhid Walton Shaw means worldview. Okay, worldview is the philosophy of life. How do you see your life, and what's your philosophy of life? So everything is based on Tawhid. The Tawhid Walton Shaw, or the worldview of Tawhid. No representation of God or prophet or realistic representation of human or animal form. There's no representation of realistic of human and animal form in art until today. When after the westernization, during the westernization, then really the Malay artistic orientation changed to Western worldview and Western way of doing work of art. So fourthly, yang keempat, the Malay philosophy of art and aesthetic. Likewise, it was very much influenced by the Tawhidic Walton-Shaw or Tawhidic worldview. In traditional Malay art society, it was strictly not allowed to do realistic orientation of human or animal figure, whether in 2D or 3D, in work like painting or sculpture. Brzezinski in 1991 mentioned that Malay literature has been deeply absorbed by the Islamic worldview, value system, and as well as aesthetic. Malay spirituality can be exemplified by the philosophy of the Malay wood carving. Etiquette, ataupun cakap falsafah awal Arab Melayu that has been recorded in a poet, in a short poet. Tumbuh berpunca, punca penuh rahsia, tumbuh tidak menunjak lawan, memanjat tidak memanjat kawan, tapi melainkan penuh mesra. It's showing that that's the worldview of the Malay. Tumbuh berpunca, everything is from God. Punca penuh rahsia, you can't question the existence of God. You don't ask about the what you call the essence of God. It's a spiritual essence. It's full of secret. Tumbuh tidak menunjak lawan. It doesn't it doesn't challenge the what you call its foe. Atau dia tidak mencabar dia punya musuhnya. Memanjat tidak memot kawan. It is not like opportunist kind of thing. If you want to go, you want to get something, you step on somebody. Tapi melainkan penuh mesra. In a harmonious society kind of philosophy. According to Syed Ahmad Jamal, the Malay aesthetic has the form and soul, rupa dan jiwa, or in the Western world called form and content. According to Zakaria Ali, every work of art of Malay is bound to have the 5 principles of aesthetic: finesse, usefulness, unity, contrast, and symbolism. Ada 5 prinsip-prinsip berhalus, prinsip berguna, prinsip kesatuan, prinsip kontras dan juga prinsip simbolisme. Malay aesthetic intrinsically rich in meaning related to the philosophy, culture, ethics, and value of the Malays, whose foundation lay on the teaching of Islam. Jadi falsafah dan estetika Melayu ni sebenarnya terbenam dalam kekayaan makna yang berkaitan dengan falsafah, budaya dan etik kaum Melayu yang sebenarnya bertunjangkan Islam. Lastly, appreciation of Malay art is baseless unless we can fully appreciate the beauty and the unity of Malay art. Under the beauty, you have the finesse, intricacy, contrast, and so unity. So under unity, you have the religious, ethical, and societal. That is, you have to know the beauty, the form, and the unity of content. Okay, so that's all for lecture number 8. Lecture number 7. So stay safe, stay home, and take care. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye for now.